In 1978, 20-year-old Michael Jackson left New York full of hope. He had proved to himself that he could live apart from the suffocating grasp of his father, and proved to God that he could resist temptation. Michael buried the pain of his childhood deep inside and returned to L.A. determined to become bigger than the Jackson 5.
He had become a man. This was the cat who was running the show.
Michael had this concept of becoming the biggest star on the planet. And Michael wanted his own lawyers. Michael wanted his own managers. Michael wanted his own record deal.
We're honoring Michael tonight for the phenomenal success he enjoys around the world.
At Epic Records, Walter Yetnikoff convinced Mike that solo success was his best revenge against Papa Joe.
He once said to me, I've accomplished a lot. And my father has never told me that he's proud of me. And I became daddy. And I said, come here, Michael, let me give you a hug. And let me tell you how proud everyone in the pop music field is of you. And the fact is, you are the #1 pop star in the entire world.
By 1980, Michael's Off the Wall album had made him millions. He used his fortune to buy Havenhurst, the Jacksons' Encino mansion. Papa Joe got the cash, and Mike got to rebuild his childhood from scratch.
When the son suddenly owns the house that the father is living in, things change a lot.
This was the house that Off the Wall built. It was everything that Mike wanted in a house.
If somebody had the means to recreate a childhood, you could create a childlike environment and be like a kid in a candy store. Does it really help that emptiness inside? Unfortunately, it does not.
Michael's desperate vision included everything he never had in Gary, Indiana. And instead of being crammed into a triple bunk bed, Mike built his own wing.
Oh, man, why don't you guys tell me you were shooting? I'll be right down. What's that, okay?
It was always a lot of fun going up there, though, because you never knew what you were going to see. You never knew what, wacky Disney character was going to maybe meet you at the gate.
If the first step in Michael's delusional spending spree was to create a dream version of 2300 Jackson Street, the next was to fill it with the playmates he was denied as a child. Cameraman Stephen Howell took these rare home movies of Michael's new best friends.
All of a sudden, these 3 vans drive up, and next thing you know, there's the 7 dwarfs, like you would see at Disneyland, are getting out of the van. And they frolic into his house. At that time, I'm going, this is too wild. The water fountain that's in front of his house is actually his wishing well. So they all went out there and they were doing their little, wish. Michael always said, capture the magic. So I was capturing the magic on film.
As a child, Michael shared pets with his siblings. But in his reinvented youth, Mike populated his suburban palace with a Noah's Ark all his own.
Everything went upscale, man. You went from having a regular old German Shepherd to having an exotic chimp hanging around the joint that wore clothes.
Mr. Tibbs was their ram. Louis the llama.
He's a charming, sweet animal. Say hi, Louis. Let him see your beautiful ears.
You would see giraffes and the neighbors were always very upset because it smelled bad up there. It did. It's not a zoo. It's somebody's home in Encino.
With his millions, Michael could finally buy Katherine Jackson the happiness he thought she deserved. So in 1984, Mike threw his mother the birthday party of her dreams.
Don't look so sad. It's one of your favorite songs. I know it's weird, but life goes on.
Though Michael's generosity was angelic, Katherine's bash violated a Jehovah's Witness taboo.
You're going, wait a minute. I thought that Jehovah's Witnesses never celebrated birthday birthdays.
That's absolutely stunning as far as I'm concerned. If a person celebrates a birthday, they face sanction because they are doing something that's associated with pagan origins.
Catherine soothed her son's guilt by insisting her presents be wrapped in brown paper bags, while his mother had long ago learned to bend the witness's rules when it came to the finer things in life. This was the first time Michael had dared to deceive Jehovah.
Not having those gifts unless they're wrapped in brown paper is similar to the idea of it being okay to lie if it's for your image and public relations.
Well...
Michael's grip on the truth was completely coming loose. So when he was done remaking Havenhurst, he set out on an even more ambitious course by reinventing Michael Jackson.
I can only tell you what I know and what I heard and what he told me. That one was, I would like to separate myself from the Jackson 5 and become me, Michael Jackson. So in that separation, he changed himself.
He had a song called Man in the Mirror, Change. And that's what he tried to do. He tried to change. He tried to change what he saw in the mirror, because he obviously didn't like himself, even though he was a big star.
In the real world, Michael was one of 5 singing brothers in a poor black family. But in the lie he told himself, he was Peter Pan, an androgynous orphan from a lily-white fairyland. Step 1 in Michael's transformation was to streamline the feature that reminded him most of his father.
I actually saw the brothers sort of ribbing him about his nose, and they used to call him Big Nose. And I asked Joe about it. What about Michael's nose? And Joe said, you know, he's got a great nose. His nose is just like mine, and he should be proud of his nose.
After claiming that he broke his nose in an onstage fall, Michael spent the early 1980s chipping away at the link to his Papa Joe.
I saw really fine stitches on the sides of his nose.
You're saying you've only ever had one piece of surgery on your nose?
2.
You've had 2?
As I can...
If somebody was abused, one of the symptoms could be self-mutilation, cosmetic surgery, especially on the same body part. Over and over, it signals to me big time something is going on here that's not just about wanting to look good.
As his face took on an elfin shape, Michael's skin also got lighter in tone. Mike claimed to have a skin disease that turned him from black to white.
They said I was putting on cream to make myself lighter. That's not true.
I tried to talk to him a couple of times. You don't need to change your color. No one knows what color you are. No one cares. You're Michael Jackson. You're a pop icon. You don't have to do this. He wouldn't respond. He would just turn his head. He'd just look the other way. He wouldn't pay any attention.
And while his singing voice was always high, Mike's speaking tone suddenly became a childish whisper.
The Michael that I've always heard had, a fairly deep speaking tone.
Can we try it just one more time? Then we'll take it from the top.
I hope he doesn't get angry at me for telling you this, but that's his public persona. I remember a time I called him up, and he answered the phone, and I didn't know I was talking to him, because he was talking in his normal voice, which is pretty deep.
By 1984, Michael Jackson was living his fantasy full-time, but his quest to become the little boy of his dreams had one fatal flaw, because after all the pain and expense, the new improved Mike still lived under the same roof as his old Papa Joe.
One morning I walked in there. I don't know if he could have been startled or whatever, but next thing you know, Joe had an Uzi in his hand. It's not cut, okay, take 2, it's a fake gun. This was for real.
No matter how much he spent, there was no way Michael could escape the grasp of his father. Whatever happened in that tiny house back in Gary formed a bond stronger than Mike's urge to flee from the man he despised, yet couldn't live without.
Children who have been abused, because they don't want to believe that they weren't loved, by their abuser. They make up all these excuses. Well, this person was really showing me love.
But he's a genius. The man is a genius. At the same time, he is a genius. He really is.
But Michael, he injured you when you were a child.
Yeah, but look what came out of it.